The contribution of teachers in shaping lives is not in contention. They have greatly impacted human capital development globally. This day provides an opportunity to take stock of achievements and draw attention to the voices of teachers who are at the heart of efforts to attain the global education target of leaving no one behind. The theme for this year's commemoration is Teachers Leading in Crisis, Reimagining the Future. Well, joining me is Chairman, Nigerian Union of Teachers, Lagos State Chapter, Comrade Adedoyin Adeshino. We also have an educationist, Oladotun Mbanori, in the studio. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so looking at the theme for today, Leading in Crisis, Reimagining the Future. With what we are experiencing at this point, how do teachers reinvent the future?
Well, thank you very much. You see, the event of a COVID-19 pandemic has taught us a big lesson. There's need for every one of us to prepare for any force majeure, because it's a pandemic that we don't expect. It came by accident and as a sudden something. Having said that, the experience gathered during this epidemic led to serious invention, because they say necessity is the mother of invention.
Definitely.
Because of that, you can see that the teachers now have to go into the in-depth use of ICT through virtual teaching. So those who are not well versed with ICT, they were forced to make sure that they learn.
It has become a necessity to become ICT savvy in this
to be ICT compliant.
Yeah.
So with the little time that we have spent, it has developed some of our teachers on the use of ICT as a result of that virtual teaching.
All right, so let's get to you now. Looking at all of this now, the theme for this year is Leading in Crisis, Reimagining the Future. And we have seen that a lot of teachers, according to research, 60% of teachers are not satisfied with their job worldwide now. What do you think about this?
I think for me as an individual and also as an educationist and also a teacher, so to speak, this is my 21st year of being a teacher. I can say that teacher is one of the professions that have not been fully rewarded. And the unfortunate thing is that it's the only what should I put it now? The only profession recognized even in the Bible. If you read Ephesians 4:11, there are five ministries in the Bible, and we have the apostles, the prophets, and there's only one mentioned that is not even a cleric position. It's teaching. He said teachers, evangelists. Imagine Bible even recognizes the position of a teacher. So then without a teacher, there is no future. So, and this is a profession that should be adequately and greatly rewarded. But what do we have in our society? Teachers are mostly the most poorly paid in the society.
And
so
with the COVID-19 pandemic, teaching profession has been the hardest hit as well. So looking at virtual learning now, has this brought a lot of satisfaction and the needed development we need?
To a very large extent, a fine pandemic brought the advent of virtual learning. And, before now, we are mostly saying that we have mostly treated virtual learning as a less important. But until when Harvard University came and said, okay, they're going virtual for the next 2020-2021 academic session, and they will not reduce their school fees. So many people to sit on their toe that, oh, that means we can actually pass message across through virtual learning. So technology is there for us to let teachers to perform their job. So fine, we still have the social interaction that should be done in the class, but we can still do it via virtual learning. So technology is there for us to still ensure that teachers still do their job. Because without teachers, there's no society. True. Because when the experience research has shown that it is very easier. It is very easy to teach, to lead people that are educated people. It's all people that are not educated, illiterate, that one imam or one person, someone will just say, okay, carry arms and start killing people, and they will go. Right. But when you are educated, you can read between the lines and say, okay, this is what is right, this is not what is right.
But with virtual learning now, a lot of people have complained about the fact that their kids are not, they don't concentrate on the work done.
Yeah, there's no way that you can replace the teacher-pupil relationship in the classroom with virtual learning, because students learn through feeling, touching, feeling, because if you teach them in abstract, that thing may not retain in their memory.
But this is the new way to go because of this COVID.
Yes, because we are talking of Nigeria now because of many factors. That's the reason why people are complaining. Number one, You know, even those of us that are having meeting on Zoom meeting, the way that are adults that are having Zoom meeting, at times while you are discussing, you will not hear what others are saying. There is problem with a service provider. Aside from that, people at the rural area, it is not like the large economy that we are all nooks and crannies of the place. The places are well set up with a service provision.
So you think there are still hitches that need
yes,
to be
the data,
attended to?
because of per capita income of some parents, they cannot afford that data. Some of them don't even use Android phone or smartphone. They use just a ordinary phone that call me, let me receive. So those are some other factors are also militating against the use of that virtual learning. But I believe that by the time we are going, maybe we will get there.
All right, so since we're talking about infrastructural gap, how do we mitigate against that? Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought a new way of doing things at this point. How do we mitigate?
That's what we call Kaizen techniques. This is a continuous improvement. We can't say because we are not there yet that we shouldn't take steps towards it. They always say the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is now. So the world is going global. It's going, in fact, it's getting integrated. So we can't say because we don't have infrastructure. In fact, it's a very valid point our guy at the top, so to speak, raised out there. The classroom interaction cannot be shanked away. But at the same time, imagine if this COVID-19 has continued the next 2 years, and it is very, very potent as we have in the European or in the Americas, in the Europe and the Americas. So what do? Do we say we stay at home forever? We have to make use of what we have.
What about the rural community? How do we get this kind of technology to them?
Yeah, but we can't get to them if we don't start in the urban center.
But
so
they will miss out a lot.
But at least we should take a positive steps towards getting to them. We can't say because some people are not getting them, we should hold others. It's an injustice to one, it's an injustice to others. We can't say because the rural community are not getting it, then the urban shouldn't go ahead. So while we are starting with the urban, then let us have what they call purposeful spending towards improving the so-called lives of the rural area also, so that we can move ahead in this area of education, because the classroom experience, as I said, cannot be. For instance, let me just give an example. One of the things that teachers do.
A quick one.
Okay, a very quick one. Now, if I ask you to raise your finger now, can you just do that for me? I just want to demonstrate one of them. Okay, can you put it on your chin? Yeah. That's not your chin. This is your chin. It's a cheek. Okay. But that's what a teacher does. Students they want to see what the teacher is doing, and they also want to replicate the same thing. So that's why, as a teacher, also, you don't just go to class and say anything. You don't just go to class and do anything. Students are watching you, not just what to say. Because as a teacher, you have to perform the so-called four communication skill in class: the communication skill, the listening skill, the speaking skill, the writing skill, and then the reading skill. The students want to see you. They want to observe what you are doing. They want to listen to you and do exactly what they are doing. For instance, I just see what the little exercise we just did now. Yeah. So that is one of the roles the teachers play that we can't, to a very large extent, underestimate. But that notwithstanding, we still need to move ahead. Technology is there for us to move to ensure that this message is still passed across. Fine, there are limitations, there are hindrances, but we still need to improve on them. Okay,
finally, now, what is the role of the government in ensuring that virtual learning and technology goes to the hinterland, so the kids at that point will not miss out?
Well, that is what I want. I want to draw an inference from what is happening now. Is a big lesson for the government of the country to know that the concentrate rural-urban migration should be checked through provision of amenities necessary at the rural areas. So the only way the government can do is to learn lesson and make sure that there should be a purposeful planning and implementation at rural areas. When you are considering the urban center, you have to consider the rural areas. When you look, because when you go to other foreign countries that we have traveled to, you see the rural setting there. You find everything that will suit those people at the other center in that rural setting. So the government needs to rise up, do the proper something, and put the right thing in place for those people at the rural area, so that they can benefit in whatever they are doing at urban center.
All right.
Now before we delve into reimagining the future, let's look at how far we have come with regards to the issue of teachers. In the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, and even in the 50s, teachers were seen to be people that were held in high esteem. It was such a noble profession that a lot of people wanted their children to be teachers, and they gave them different names depending on the tribe where you come from. But we don't see that. That seems to be dwindling. I wonder, what do you think? What went wrong as we speak? What do you think was the missing link?
Well, thank you very much. The missing link is as a result of a lack of priority by the government of the state. The teachers
All right.
have put a lot.
If you just hold your thought a bit, we need to do some technical change. I'll come back to you. Quickly, let's continue with you, Oladotu. What do you think happened in the process? 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, teachers were seen as those, teaching was seen as a noble profession, but suddenly that is dwindling. What went wrong for you?
I think the whole thing should be taken to the table of our policy makers. Over time, they've neglected their basic function, that is formulating policy for the so-called education. Someone once made a jocular analogy of standard of education in Nigeria. Said in the 50s, we have standard of education, fully written. And on a decade basis, be removing each syllable, like stand, dad, of, and etc. 2000, we have nothing left.
Right.
That is, if you are removing each syllable, standard of education from 50s to what we have now, you realize that if you are removing each of the syllables of that statement, standard of education, we have nothing left now. So we need a paradigm shift in terms of policy, and not just policy formulation, but implementation. Let us follow it through. At times you'll be amazed what the kind of level of demotivation that teachers are having right now. We had this chairman of ASU, of ASU Unilag chapter, talking the other time, and he actually nailed it he actually nailed the whole thing. He said, you can't tell a demotivated lecturer to go to class and teach the student and motivate the student. You can't give what you don't have. Nemo that called none abet. It's not possible. Do you understand? So at this juncture, we want them to not just make teachers, if you go to other climes like Finland, like China, teachers, even Germany, teachers are the most paid. I remember one time where we were doing our local room discussion when chairman was saying the other time, he said there was a time when Merkel, the chancellor of Germany,
yes,
increased the salaries of workers above every other person. They went to him that, why will you pay teachers above all of us? Said, it's very wrong for you to be paid more than your teachers, which is very right. So at this juncture, we need to motivate them, then have right policy for our education system.
Let's get back to the chairman now. Is motivation the major challenge for teachers?
Well, it's part of it. It's not the major.
Oh.
But it's part of it. It's very key.
So what other things that
apart
are
from
major?
motivation,
Right.
is that the working environment, the condition of working, the condition of service,
Right.
also is part of the problem that is allowing the people to not to be too dedicated and loyal to duties. You see, some were not well paid, some were not even paid. A situation where that meager amount that you are giving to the teachers,
Meager.
yeah, meager, I will say meager, because the work the teachers are doing, the salary the teachers are collecting are not commensurate to the job they are rendering. Because the teacher is a counselor, is a nurse, is a trainer, is a molder, is a role model. Whatever you want to be in future, it is the image of what the teacher has imparted on you that will determine what individual will be.
But
in
we
the
can't
future.
take away the role of the parents, though.
Yes, we can't take away the role of the parent, because the parents need to complement the effort of the teacher, because they spend most of the time
with their teachers.
Yes.
And it seems a lot of parents came to understand that during the lockdown, because the children were at home for 24 hours.
They were shouting that when are you people going back to school?
Do you think that with the fact that they have come to perhaps appreciate the role of teachers, that the way teachers are seen might begin to change moving forward?
Well, if by God's grace, if that thing can be a very good perspective to change their mindset, it is not only the parents, the society, because they feel when they say teacher, they feel that you are not so important, and they have forgotten that whatever you are today, you are made by the teacher. You see, the problem we are having in this country is with our politicians, our leaders. We have not have the right leader that have passion for education. We have been saying it. When you look at the budgetary allocation through education, if it is not perfect, it should near perfection. But you have not seen, it's only there's a Lagos State that have maybe about 12%. All others, even the federal government, is single digits. How do you want people to do research? It is not only university lecturers nowadays are doing research. Because those children we are teaching now, they are taught digitally. Most of us who were analog before, we have to move along with the trend so that we be above board as a result of our children that are being taught digitally so that they don't knock us off balance when they ask questions. We too need to conduct research. What are we going to use to conduct that research?
Right.
It should be proper funding. So education
but
is not...
The teachers have to wait for government to bring about perhaps the training, the funding. Can't they carry out this on their own? Can they do that?
With which salary? That's the issue. We have seen instances where teachers are paid, a graduate, for instance, for that matter, are paid 12,000, 15,000 per month, and doing holiday nothing for them. So some of them have to go doing private classes and what have you to get it done. Just as what I said the other time, that motivation is key. Based on what the chairman said the other time, that it's not only motivation. I think it's mostly motivation. And when I say motivation, I don't only mean financial motivation. Because if you go by iceberg theory of motivation, we have both motivators and the motivators and then the satisfiers. So some are there to satisfy you. The infrastructures and what have you are motivators. Your salary is a satisfier. It's not a motivation. It's not a motivation. So we shouldn't, at this juncture, be even debating teachers' salary. When as I said the other time, the only noble profession, the only non-cleric profession that is recognized in the Bible is a teaching. Even there was a time Philip was asking the Ethiopian eunuch that understanded thou what thou readest. He said, how will I understand when no man teacheth? That's to tell you the importance of a teacher in the society. Without teacher, we have chaos everywhere. Because these are people you spend your time with.
So invariably, the way the government is handling issues of teachers, is going to have an impact on the future of generations
exactly,
and of the country.
Of the country, because during my postgraduate program, diploma in education, we are exposed to two major roles of a teacher, which is called the manifest function and then the latent function. The manifest function is for you to go to class, teach. Fine, your salary can make you do that. But the latent function is the non-teaching role that a teacher performs, non-teaching function that a teacher performs in class. That is motivating people, telling them about the future, doing that. So you require a lot of motivation to do that because you can't give what you don't have, as I've always said.
So how then do we reimagine the future if we still have these basic and key issues yet to be addressed?
How can we do what?
Reimagine the future of teaching, which is the theme for this year. Yeah. If we still have issues like this.
Yes, I believe that with the lesson from COVID-19 pandemic, if we are a very good student of history, it has taught us a very big lesson that there's need for us to have adequate plan and proper implementation. Because before now, most premium was not placed on ICT. It's just lip service. ICT lip service. But with the coming of the pandemic, you see that people were forced because they don't want the children to retain, they don't want their mental ability to be retarded.
Absolutely.
So they have to do something that will ginger, that will re-energize and invigorate the memory. Even when they come back to the classroom setting, they will be able to remember that, okay, this thing has been mentioned during that period virtually. So the government need to, as I will continue to say, they need to prioritize their needs. If education and health is not given consideration, there's no way the country will develop. But I believe that with this thing, it has taught us a lesson. And that lesson is, we have had it in a better way. And I believe that to somebody that is very responsive and responsible, they should be able to hearken to the call of the people or the society that are saying that there's need for them to put more into education, so that because there's no nation that can develop beyond the level of education.
We must thank you, gentlemen, for your time on the show this morning. We do hope that the government would, in its policies, like you have rightly pointed out, begin to look at prioritizing education. And happy World Teachers Day.
Thank you very
much.
Proud to be